Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to you all. Wish you all a happy National Startup Day. Startup Day is a significant milestone in India's journey towards innovation and entrepreneurship. On 16th January 2016, the Government of India launched the Startup India initiative to nurture a robust ecosystem for startups. This visionary program aims to drive economic growth and create numerous employment opportunities in India. We are delighted to present episode number 4 of Leaders of Belagavi, a podcast series by the Vigyan Manthan Foundation in association with KLS IMER. I am Chetna Sarang, Director at Vigyan Manthan Foundation. This initiative aims to celebrate the visionaries who are shaping Belagavi. And who better to learn from than Dr. Neeta Deshpande, a leader in the medical field. Dr. Neeta Deshpande, your expertise in reversing metabolic disorders through lifestyle modifications align perfectly with the spirit of innovation and sustainability solutions. We are eager to hear your insights. We welcome you, ma'am. Let me take this privilege to introduce Dr. Neeta Deshpande before we begin the actual conversation. Dr. Neeta Deshpande is a renowned diabetologist and obesity physician with a distinguished career, holding an MD and Fellow of the Royal College of Physicians of Edinburgh, along with postgraduate qualifications in endocrinology from London and advanced studies in bariatric surgery from the USA. Dr. Neeta is a highly respected figure in the medical community. As the medical director of Centracare Super Speciality Hospital, Belagavi, she has dedicated her life to improving the health and well-being of her patients. She has been in practice for the last 30 years and she is rooted in Belagavi. She is a prolific orator, an avid researcher, and an academician, having published and presented research papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals. She has co-authored several textbooks on diabetes and obesity. Her particular areas of research and clinical expertise are in the field of lifestyle modification to reverse obesity, diabetes, and other metabolic disorders. She is a key opinion leader in country in obesity and diabetes and is on the advisory board of several medical bodies. She has been interviewed and been on national television on issues related to diabetes and obesity. This is just a brief introduction of what Dr. Neeta Deshpande has done growing up from Belagavi. We are truly delighted to have you, a woman entrepreneur who is beautiful, invincible, and tenacious. We are so privileged to have you with us and know more about you through your journey. So I would want to start by knowing about your journey. How did you understand or how did you feel that obesity and diabetes is the field that Belagavi needed? It was you started 30 years ago. Can you brief us with your journey?
Yeah. So, I always wanted to be a doctor and I became a doctor. I finished from the Jain Medical College, Belgaum, my degree. Then I did my MD in medicine. But somehow or the other, I was not attracted by going into general medicine. And that is how I decided that I need to segregate myself and go into a niche kind of a field. So at that time, somehow or the other, I chose diabetes because at that time, I thought it is a cool branch in the sense that I really won't have to struggle much and I can be relaxed. That was my mindset at that time. Little did I know that this would be my life now and I would get busier by the day. But I don't regret it. The thing is that as time went by, diabetes started increasing in India exponentially. Today we are the diabetes capital of the world, incidentally. And then I realized I had chosen the right path. It was anticipated. And after getting into diabetes practice, mind you, I was ridiculed a little bit at that time because just diabetes clinics would not run at that time. No, the concept was very new. But I had an idea that this is really going to take off. And that's the reason that I persisted and I did well right from the beginning because diabetes is there in every family. So it wasn't really hard to get famous if you projected yourself in the correct niche, is what I found. After working in diabetes for a couple of years and personally going through an injury, I realized that losing weight is a difficult proposition and everybody wants to lose weight. Not always for health reasons, maybe for the looks as well. And then I found that this has to be done scientifically. And that's how I entered obesity practice. I got myself trained in obesity. I went to Canada, I went to the US, gave exams, worked with some pioneers from the field, and evolved over a period of time because obesity is not something that we are taught even at the MD level. It is all self-study and self-discovery. So that's how I got into the field.
That's wonderful to know. You mentioned that you believed a clinic based only for diabetes wouldn't run in those days in place like Belgaum. Can you take us deeper into that? Why was it like that? How were people treating diabetes those days? How did it evolve?
Treating diabetes in those days was just giving medication, telling the patient to eat less and walk more. That was all there is to it. So physicians were doing it, they're still doing it, and they're doing a good job. But then, as time went by, diabetes did evolve as a super specialty or a subspecialty, if you will, where there are a lot of things involved in it, and even 24 hours in a day are not enough if you had to cover everything in diabetes. So it did evolve into a specialty by itself. And that is what was not foreseen in those days, but that is how it turned out to be. And some people did foresee that it is a separate branch by itself because diabetes affects every system in your body. Each and every system is the eyes, the kidneys, the skin, everything. And that's why it is a multifaceted disease, a lot to do with lifestyle, and that's how it became a specialty by itself, something which was really not foreseen in the past.
Great. Well, we can have a never-ending conversation about health issues. I would want to know more about your enterprising skills. If I see your progress or if I study the way you have come so far, I see it mainly done through self-branding. Because I remember growing up, keeping you as one of my role models there. For me, about retirement is not just about how much money do I have in the bank balance. I also tend to plan how I look, how I present, how I'm perceived. This is also a part of retirement planning. I always looked up to you growing up. And we are truly delighted, and I'm very happy to be interviewing you as a first woman entrepreneur on the podcast series. I'm really privileged. I want to know, how did you position itself? Was this enterprising thing an eventual thing? Because you started as a self-brand. Can you throw some light on that journey from personal brand to now you're known for a medical director at Centra Care? How was this process? Was it planned or it was eventual?
It wasn't planned in the beginning, of course. In the beginning, I was just finding my way about. But I always knew that the word doesn't sound very nice coming from a medical professional, but I always knew that you need to market yourself. Unless people know what you're doing, they're not going to come to you. Unless people realize that you are in a position of authority on a particular subject, nobody is going to come to you. And how does one get to that position of authority? By garnering your skills. So your skills have to be at top level. You have to know everything about the subject to call yourself an expert. There is no compromise there. You have to be skilled, and only then can you be in a position of authority. When you're in a position of authority, the branding is almost automatic. So once the branding is automatic, then what next? Because if you continue to do the same thing that you were doing last year, the year before that, and the year before that, you're stagnating. So the natural transition was to foray into something more. So I did foray into obesity. Now when I forayed into obesity, I could only give medicines because I'm not a surgeon. But I realized that you require that care. So if you want to give holistic care, a diabetes specialist also requires a kidney specialist because kidneys are fired. You require an ophthalmologist. You require a surgeon, for example, because diabetic patients undergo amputations. So looking at all of this, then the entrepreneur's brain in my, let's call it the kida, in my head started, actually crawling around that why can't I do all of that? Why can't I put everything together? Why do I have to send my patient to go to 10 different places? Why can't I have it all under one roof? So actually it was planned as a diabetes hospital. But then when you realize that a diabetes patient requires every other specialty, it became a multi-super specialty hospital. So the transition was gradual, but it was meant to be, if you ask me. The reason it was meant to be was because of the kind of field I am in and wanting to have everything under the same roof and control all of that, so to speak, in a nice way, in a scientific way.
So I think trust building is something which you...
Trust building is very important. Unless patients were coming to me, trusting me, and the brand got built is itself testimony to the fact that so many people trusted me. So in healthcare, especially, and I think in any business, trust is the most important factor. So once that trust was built, I didn't feel, like handicapped, or nor did I feel scared to foray into something bigger because I had the support and trust of the people.
Adding to this, I have some interesting question. So far, or the very few years beginning where you were in direct connect with your patients, you would know how it is going, what would be the feedback, how the patient is feeling. But when you transitioned into an enterprise, you kind of lose that control on how your patients in every other department are feeling. The feedback, basically. How do you plan to get a positive feedback? Because I know my mother, when she is critical or she's near critical, one word she says is, if something goes wrong, don't take me to that particular hospital. But will that particular hospital know they're talking about it like this? When you build a personal brand and nurture it to a level, how do you ensure the feedback is going right at a larger scale?
So one thing is the vision is very important. If your vision is so good, and if your mindset is really good, your ethos and your passion percolates down to your staff. That's number one. Number two is you need to build a team that echoes your sentiments. So once they echo your sentiment, then you are getting a via connection to the patients that you're treating or to the clients that are coming to your business or hospital or whatever. You do get a via connection. But the via route has to be very conducive to that whole ethos of yours, in the sense that you train your people to think the way you do and make sure that they do not lose the connect. Of course, random sampling always happens and we do not lose the connect entirely, but that is a system that one has to build.
Yeah. You have been a researcher, you are an academician, you are a professor in many health care institutes, you are an entrepreneur. There are different skills that each one of these segments demand. How have you been training yourself? Were there professionally trained courses that you enrolled? Can you take us to the journey of the professional skilling that you went through to reach this multifaceted?
Yes, it did take a lot of, so somewhere around 2004 or 2005, I entered the field of research. Now the research field is entirely different that your basic training really doesn't prepare you for. So there were several courses that I took, several workshops that I attended, lot of self-reading was done, and I became one of the pioneer researchers in Belgaum, having conducted more than 75 global clinical trials uh, as a principal investigator. And that really needed a lot of my attention, lot of detailing, but I enjoyed that because again, that was something new. So I had to upgrade my skills for that. When it came to obesity and diabetes, of course, I've already told you the way I upgraded my skills. Now when it comes to the hospital side, so I did start off, but I realized that I really need to up my game. And that is when I enrolled into the Indian School of Business at Hyderabad for a management course in healthcare. And that really opened my eyes. There were a lot of things which we were just doing ad hoc, or we were just doing need-based, experience-based. But this really gave it a good, let us say, a systematic approach, and I'm really glad I did the course. So what I feel is, at whatever age you are at, if you are going to get into something, excellence has to be sought, and that can only be sought by going very deep into the subject, researching it, upgrading yourself, and then applying it.
So that means you stand for the professional skilling methodologies, because we have a lot of students here. I'm sure they have charted out their career path as a basic degree, post-graduation, and everything else has to work by itself. We don't want to invest anything more further. So you say that mindset doesn't work if we have to move towards excellence. Skilling is, professionally getting skilled is a never-ending task, is something which I would like to derive from your
Yeah, absolutely,
conversation.
because every textbook, the day it is published, it becomes obsolete. So you have to keep upgrading yourself by reading all of the latest, and now you have it at the click of your mouse. And you know, the latest journals, what is happening in the rest of the world, one has to keep studying that to upgrade.
Yeah. Having talked about that, I would like to shift towards the conversation towards you being a women entrepreneur, which is slightly different. While the business itself cannot differentiate between woman and a man being an entrepreneur, but for us, it means different thing. How did you navigate all these expectations which most women entrepreneurs are tied up with their family? Can you talk about that part of your journey as a woman excelling in career? How did you surpass all the challenges?
There are challenges like for every entrepreneur, male or female, but yes, the challenges are slightly more for a lady because there are a few extra responsibilities that one has to be aware of and navigate through that. In that sense, I must say here, and I will say it always, that I have been very blessed. I have been blessed with the best of parents, the best of in-laws. All four of them never stopped me from doing anything that I wanted, gave me the utmost support, and I have to also say here that my husband and my children, they have all been supportive. So the journey has been that much smoother. There have been problems, no doubt about it. There have been some gender biases here and there in my workplaces, and having to prove yourself and things like that. I won't go into the details of that, but having said that, I would say that I kept certain principles, that there are certain things that you have to let go of if you want to excel somewhere else. You can't excel in everything and you can't have it all. For example, certain social engagements you may have to sacrifice. Certain hobbies also get sacrificed. For example, like I can cook really well, but I don't cook. And it's not that I don't want to cook, but there is simply no bandwidth for doing all of these things. So I'm not professing here and telling everyone that don't cook.
In that way, you're empowering another woman.
Yes. So there is another woman who is happy to be doing what I cannot do. So it's a question of balance. So a little bit of a balancing act has to be done. And if you have your head on your shoulders, if you're clear in your priorities, if you're clear in your aims and goals, you will yourself automatically know what to prioritize.
Does that mean you were unstoppable or nothing stopped you? Indeed. Because the moment you say you were blessed, I'm sure there are many women who are watching this, they would feel I am not blessed. What message do you have for such women?
I still think there is a way around it. Even if you are not blessed enough to have all of the support, you may have to work that much harder. But I always say, do not lose sight of your goal. There is always a solution. The only thing is you have to grab at that solution. Never get scared if you're not conforming to a particular tradition or conservatism. Do not feel scared to break free. If you know in your head that what you're doing is right. I'm not talking about being stubborn or obstinate, but if you know what you're doing is right, your gut tells you that it is right, you will have to find a way around it, even if it ruffles a few feathers, is my view.
I think they should get rid of the guilt.
Yes, that is the most important thing about the guilt part. I got rid of that, or rather I almost never allowed it to cloud any of my judgments, to cloud any of my aims, aspirations, because guilt is something that can weigh you down completely, and it can change the course of your life if there is a guilt about the decisions that you have taken.
Yeah, thank you so much for such insightful suggestions that you gave for all the women entrepreneurs or the budding women entrepreneurs here in the audience or
One
professionals.
other thing that I would like to say is that never be ashamed to take help. As a woman entrepreneur, anybody who is ready to help me, I will take that help. Because you can't do this alone. Please take help when you need it. There is no embarrassment. There is no ego here.
To add on to that, what I feel is we are okay to take help, but we don't know when to ask for help.
That's
when
so
to
true.
ask for help is the biggest thing.
Very true, very true. And I think if you have a clarity of mind, by and by you will know by instinct as to when you need help, please take that help.
Did you have any mentor who worked on this mindset of yours, or you are naturally born with this mindset?
Well, I have always been an extremely positive individual, sometimes to my detriment, being overly positive. And I think it is my positive mindset and hope that actually manifests into what I wanted to. So I really haven't had any person that I have looked up to. But yes, I would definitely say I get my, my guts or challenges that I like to take up from my late father, Dr. K.H. Belgamkar. He was a very gutsy human being, and he would dare to do anything, extremely positive. So I think maybe I inherit that.
Maybe your family has got something to do with your mindset that
Possibly,
you were born with.
possibly.
Yeah. So you are a mother of two and a grandmother of one.
Yes.
At this stage of your career, you took a substantial risk of investing in crores and coming up with a magnificent structure like Centracare. Talk something about your risk-taking ability. It's in a highly competitive market, in healthcare in Belgaum especially. How did you take that stand that I'm going to come up with this unit anyways?
It's conviction. It's basically conviction. You can make a lot of spreadsheets, profit, loss, projected revenues. You can do a lot of that. But nothing can beat your gut, your instinct, and your conviction. So if you have that, you just see it through. And you can make it happen. Of course, there are huge challenges along the way. There are a lot of market forces which you have to fight, which you have to grapple with. But then once you have, taken the plunge, you need to swim.
So talking about that, there is a thin line between compassionate treatment and profitable business. In healthcare, how do you balance profitability along with maintaining trust and ensuring your patients won't come back?
You mean get well and don't come back?
Yeah.
Yes, of course, that's the aim of every doctor, that the patient should get well. No doctor in the world is ever going to keep a patient sick so that he comes back. I am 100% sure of that. Having said that, you said that there is a thin line between profitability and compassion. Well, actually, the two can go hand in hand. They can go hand in hand. It doesn't mean that you have to be ruthless in healthcare to be able to make a profit. Not at all. In fact, the more compassionate you are, the more your practice will be, the more patients you will get. And what you could not get from one patient, you will get it in the volumes. So compassion is real, it is important, it is inborn, and it should be there as a healthcare professional. And if there is compassion, you will make a profit.
So it's a business where we don't aspire for lifetime.
Absolutely. Except for those kind of diseases which are lifelong. Unfortunately, like say a rheumatoid arthritis, a bronchial asthma, a diabetes, a hypertension, heart disease. These are chronic diseases where the patient, yes, they have to come back. But by and large, those diseases that are curable, they are curable.
Right. So I want to talk about your Centracare hospital. How have you positioned it differently from the competitors in the city? Yeah.
So there are a few distinguishing parameters of Centracare Super Specialty Hospital. We lay a lot of emphasis on preventive care. It is my personal belief that it is the personal responsibility of every healthcare professional to devote at least some part of their time to preventive healthcare. That means you teach the public at large on how to prevent diseases. And that is why we have a lot of healthcare packages. We promote a lot of healthcare packages which are basically preventive healthcare. So that is number one. And the other thing we do is we have a huge department for rehabilitation. People who are sick, you need to not just treat their disease, but you also need to get them back on their feet and become productive. So for that, they require rehabilitation. So we have a huge rehabilitation department, whether it is after a fracture, after a heart attack. We have something called as a cardiac rehabilitation program. So that is the second distinguishing feature of our hospital. And the important thing is, it's a tertiary care hospital, all super specialities, with great ambience, high-tech technology, but at affordable rates. So that is how we have positioned the hospital to be.
I also feel that recovery has got a lot to do with mindset.
Yes.
Do you also have a psychology department?
Yes, we do, and we also have we have psychiatrists on board, and we lay a lot of emphasis on that, especially in the lifestyle modification programs. We have a lot of emphasis on the mind, the brain, the gut connection, the mind-body connection. Yes, we do that too.
Yeah, thank you. So there's a crowd of youth here. I'll give you an instance. When now, at this age, when I visit a cafe, I think twice before ordering something. But when I see the youth just ordering randomly anything, I really feel jealous. I miss that age where I could just eat anything without thinking much. What is the right age? At sometimes, I also feel I should have started this being aware of my weight and health very early. It would have been much easier. What do you have to convey or suggest this youth? What is the right age to start being cautious of what you eat, how much you work out? When is the right age to start all of this?
Now. It's now. Because what you do now is your bank balance. So when you are building your bank balance, make sure that it has a lot of money. because afterwards you may or may not be able to earn so much. Every time you're drawing from that, you're becoming that much weaker. So make sure that you look after your health and are careful and cautious right from your 20s, maybe even earlier to that. So do I say that you should never eat junk food? You should only eat salads and soups all day? No. You have to be mindful. You have to be mindful of the quality, the quantity. You have to educate yourselves about what is good and what is bad. What is a carbohydrate? What is a fat? This is simple knowledge nowadays. Everyone needs to know that. So you need to equip yourself with the basic knowledge of what is health. Health is not just absence of disease. Please remember that. That's what the World Health Organization definition of health is. It's not just absence of disease, it is positive health. That means you have to be positively healthy, not just disease free. So for that, you need to, from day one, from now that you've heard me, be careful about what you eat and how much you eat. So it's very important.
I think on behalf of the youth here, I'm assuming they would want to hear this. They come across a lot of information, different diet plans which may or may not suit our lifestyle. But somebody who gets ambitious, they are blindly following something. What is the right way that they are guided right with something that suits them and doesn't suit? Centra Care has that facility?
Yes. We have very personalized diet plans. We have a full nutrition department itself, which takes care of nutrition at different ages, through different diseases, and just to be healthy. Like for example, a pregnant woman needs nutrition. Just a normal pregnant woman. What should she be doing to remain healthy and have a healthy baby? We have a nutritionist for that. Or sports for that matter. So my appeal to all of you is, don't do anything by just reading off the internet or by reaching out to unqualified people. Because there is so much research going on in health and nutrition at this time that you need to know the correct things from the correct people.
Right. However, the students are managing all of their aspects of their youthful life in the meager pocket money or whatever they have. How do they accommodate consulting a professional and take care of all of these things? Does it pinch their pocket and they will always be hesitant?
Not really. They, as I said earlier, Centra Care does all of this at very affordable prices. So it's like at least one consultation to find out what's going on in their body. What is it that they need? What are they deficient in? For example, if I were to take the blood of everyone here and looked at simply just their vitamin B12 and vitamin D, 75% of you would be deficient. You need to find out. And their pocket money can be better spent, at least sometimes, on health rather than some other frivolous things.
Right. I always say right awareness at the right time is the true luxury one can experience. I'm sure the youth here has taken sufficient inputs on preventive measures of their health before they join the corporate and it rings a bell naturally. So I would want to ask...
Now with everyone telling them to work like 90 hours a week, so...
I personally think that's not even a conversation to be made nationwide. If somebody else in the crowd commented, it would not have gone so viral. If somebody sitting on the top says 90 hours, it becomes viral, everybody are talking about it. Yes, that's the power of being on top and saying something, it becomes viral. Yeah. I'm sure nobody can work so much. Coming to that point, on an average, on a scale of 10, how much do you rate the average health of Belgamites?
The average health, I don't have data to back this, but based on what I see in Centra Care Hospital and based on my years of practice, I would say it's a 4.
Okay. How much do you rate the same? Would you rate the same in metro cities?
Human beings are the same everywhere, but the awareness could be a little more over there. Access to the right care might be a little more there. I would put it at 5.
Okay. I was thinking the other way because of the pollution, the stress.
That is, those are additional risk factors
Okay.
which are there. But in terms of getting care and taking care, there's a balance.
It's about being aware.
Being aware.
Okay. You rated it in terms of being aware.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, now I see you as someone staying rooted to Belgavi. When I read your profile, you have visited London, you have visited Mumbai, so many places, but you chose to be rooted in Belgaum. Was marriage the only reason, or there is something else?
Initially, yes, because my husband is settled in Belgaum, so I decided, I naturally, I would be in Belgaum. But as days went by and I traveled the world, especially in terms of professional and even personal, detailing, I really realized that Belgaum is one of the best places to stay in. That's what I realized. You have the best of both worlds. I am busier or as busy as anyone in a metro, so my pace of life is quite fast. But I can slow it down to whatever I want, whenever I want, in staying in the same place.
Right.
I don't have to go to a resort to feel relaxed. I can stay back in Belgaum and feel relaxed. That is the beauty of Belgaum, I would say.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Such words coming from you, it means a lot for the youth who can as well choose to be in Belgaum and make it a better place for further generations. So with that, before I conclude with my last question, after which I'll be keeping this platform open for the students to ask questions. Today is being a National Startup Day. I would want to talk about the health of the startup founders. What do you suggest to them? We see a lot of news on LinkedIn and many places. A startup founder, 48, with the age of 41, 42, had a cardiac arrest and stress and so on. But still, everybody is after becoming a unicorn or something. They don't know they are so busy until something irreparable happens. So what is your message to startup founders about their health on this National Startup Day? Would like to hear from you.
Yeah. So alluding to so many of the startup founders, some who died of a cardiac arrest, some got a stroke, and any of those, and many of them while exercising and things like that. With due respect to the startup founders, unfortunately, because they have been so successful in one field, many of them think they are invincible. Second, they think that they can read and get knowledge about anything and everything, and that could land them in a mess sometimes, because many of the times exercise and diets are very personalized. So I do not know how many of them actually take the right advice from the right people, or they don't take it at all and just read it on their own. So I would still caution everyone who wants to get fit. It's a absolutely noble ideal to be fit. Fitness is the key if you want to become a startup founder. But I feel that you should go to the right person and take the right advice, and don't overdo it. Again, it's a question of balance.
I can relate to it. Rather, what I want to ask is, we don't know when to stop when we are our own boss. Right. And when we are driven so much that we don't realize the time, we are happy, people are clapping, people are felicitating, appreciating, and you feel like running until the body puts you to shutdown mode, and then you realize, okay, did I really work so hard?
Yeah. I guess that you can't stop running, because that little seed in your head is why you became a startup founder. So to ask a startup founder to slow down is a tough task. However, if they can be mindful and I feel incorporate a few things in their daily routine, that would help them keep up with that speed in a healthy way.
Can you give specific inputs of what do you mean by in the routine or in their regular?
I'll give you an example. They need to disconnect for some time every day.
How?
Either with
From
the help
what?
of meditation, or if you know how to play music, or if you know how to sing, at least 10 minutes per day must be spent on that habit like religion. It calms the mind. It takes you away from that. And third thing is
There is
time.
a strange, sorry to interrupt, there is a strange mindset. A startup founder's mind is always running after building businesses of whatever he or she tries to experiment. Suppose I start singing, next day I want to build a business in the singing line. Suppose I start meditating, I want to build a business in the meditation line.
Well, yes, that can happen. But as I said, at the end of the day, even if when a computer gets very clogged, it crashes. You have to reboot. So this is all about rebooting. And there are times of the day when you think about nothing. Think about nothing for some time in the day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That brings the freshness and that actually gives you better ideas.
Right. I seriously request you to start some plan for startup founders because they are busy. They need to be held and told this is what you need to get checked up and this is where you take breaks.
That's a great idea you've given to me. We can do
so
that.
Much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are startup founders, we try to package everything that we discuss
Yes.
and try to present it. So it
Yeah.
would be great if you can come across something
course,
that would
of
be a
course.
value addition to Belgamites
Sure.
with respect to health, obesity, and everything that a startup
Absolutely.
founder needs. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we had a great conversation about health, entrepreneurship, mindset, and everything. Thank you, everyone. Let us catch up for the next episode with yet another seasoned entrepreneur of Belagavi. Thank you so much.